make a motion to approve the agenda, or to adoption of the agenda.
We need to add the closed session if possible.
Okay, what do you want to add?
16A.
All right, I make a motion to adopt the agenda with adding 16A.
Is there a
Closed
second?
session.
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Approval of June the 3rd and June the 11th, 2024 minutes.
I make a motion to approve the June 3rd and June 11th minutes as presented. Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Public comment. Citizens may speak on items not listed on the printed agenda. Please state your name and address and observe the 3-minute time limit. And Karen Biscay. How are you tonight?
I'm good, how are you?
Where's your
I
husband
have
at?
no idea where he's at.
We'd like for him to come.
He is probably, I apologize, I've been keeping a 5-year-old today.
No problem.
So, what I had is, tonight, I'm Karen Bisco, and we live on Farmer Denton Road, but I have tenant houses that are on East Salisbury Street. The 322, which are adjacent to the Family Dollar Tree, business. And the tenant, when he brought rent, yesterday, informed me that they have been pouring gallons of milk over the fence down on those block, several times, and it's starting and beginning to smell now. That's number one for that, for doing that. The second thing is that when they bring their tractor trailers in, they're bringing them in at night. I don't think this is happening every single time they're bringing a truck in, but when they do bring the trucks in, they're staying there overnight and leaving the engines running, or the engine running, and of course it's loud, and they're right at their back door. So I don't know I told them that I would come and speak on their behalf, because even though they're the tenants. But that's happening, so with that going forward, figuring out whether that is something that could happen or not happen. So I don't know whether it's a noise order or whatever, but anyway, it's bothering them to the point that it keeps them up. The wife that is there a lot of time during the day, so she's seen a lot of things occurring. And they have the back porch looks right at the business. The third thing that's happening is when they're throwing their cardboard and things in there, if they miss the container, it's blowing and going down. Some of it is coming over the fence. Other is going down to the back of the business, all the way through that back parking lot, down into the woods, which in turn, that's on, I think, the city's property at that point going down. But those are the three things that I wanted to bring up tonight that's occurring. And then I have had a complaint from our tenants about that, so just wanted to bring it before the board and
Thank
see
you for
what's
doing
going
that.
on. All right.
We'll get our police department involved. And Troy, I just wanted to ask you a question. Pouring milk on the ground, what is that a criminal type thing?
Not that I'm aware of, but pouring it in the sewer is not good.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it's against the law, but it will cause a sewer backup.
What could they do with that milk if they can't pour it in the sewer? I mean,
Now, we're talking gallon jugs.
Yes, sir.
I always thought the dairy took it back.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought you had to, as a
The
business, had
convenience
to.
store that I worked in as a
Yeah.
kid, the dairy always took it back when it was.
yeah,
expired.
it's probably a warehouse thing that as big as Family Dollar is, they probably can't do it.
I wouldn't think so, because used to Family Dollar when it was up there, if you had something bad, they wanted to know because they sent it back to the company.
They're not really worked by, vendors anymore. It's a warehouse type item. About all the grocery stores are like that. All the grocery stores are like that.
Well, they're bringing it out in grocery carts, that's how much. And
I can't get involved until they put in the sewer. They
Right.
put in the sewer, I
Mayor
get
Ward,
involved.
I spoke with Karen right before the meeting about all of this, and I think we can address that through the environmental health, reach out to
The
them.
health department, yeah.
Looking at that way, code for, nuisance abatement on cardboard issues and things like that. So I told her we'll get together, find the best contact to reach out to them and let them know. The higher up may not be aware that that situation's taking place, so we'll look at it.
so starting on ground floor.
We'll take a look at that.
Angel,
Yes.
in terms of the noise, I don't know if they could do this, but we have had trucks, parked like at our business in between our building and the flooring store before.
Right.
And there's nobody right in the backyard. And so if they could park, if they need to stay overnight, if they could park in, I'm 0.8 of a mile from where their destination is, they could park in there if they needed to stay the night.
I told Karen that the main issue there is that it is a highway business zone property, so we'll have to look at it, as far as noise ordinance, if it's allowed, what is and is not allowed in that area. But I know we did have another for zone request that was in a neighborhood business, and they were saying they were going to bring trucks possibly overnight once in a while, and that was allowed through the zoning in that district. So we'll look at it and see which is the best way to approach this. Okay.
That's fine.
Thank you for letting us know, Karen.
Thanks, Karen.
Is there anyone else like to speak publicly at this time? If you would sign your name there. Address on your sheet.
Well, this isn't a complaint or anything, but I just wanted to thank the town for the display of the veterans' flags down at the park. When I walked through there, I was just so amazed by it, and I thank some of you here at Town Hall, but I wanted to do it publicly here while I was here tonight. That is just one of the most touching and beautiful tributes that I have seen done for our veterans, and I'm just so proud of this town for having that, and it was displayed so well. And just again, thank you for doing that, and hopefully more flags are going to be added as time goes on too, as people see it then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Consideration of petition to close alleyways, 3 of them, East Finch Avenue and East Noel Avenue, and call for a public hearing. Can you give us some information? Thank you.
Mayor, Commissioners, thank you. This is a request coming from Ms. Debbie asking to close alleyways. You guys have been provided the GIS printout of where these alleyways are located. Her property is actually located on East Noel, and the alleyways run east and west, and then also, north and south, and then also divide north and east and west. So it's like a little H through there. She's asking that we close all 3 alleyways. I've reached out to Michael High with Public Works. He said there is no easements that run through there that would keep us from having those alleyways closed. This is to call for a public hearing. We have to advertise it in the paper 4 weeks continuous, and then have a public hearing as the publication allows. The requirement dates for our orator, the Denton orator, have changed, so we may hopefully get it into the August meeting. If not, it would be at our September meeting for those to be 4 continuous weeks. Do you have any questions, anything? Ms. Debbie's here tonight. She can answer any questions that you may have.
So all these dates right here, the 10th, 17th, 24th, 31st are just.
That's what we are asking that they print them, so as long as they.
And I did put in a request for that, so hopefully they will be able to meet that.
I would make a motion that we call for the public hearing to close the 3 alleyways, East Finch Avenue and East Noel. Yeah, okay.
I'll second it.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Approved fiscal year 24-25 general liability insurance, cyber liability, and auto insurance coverage with Olson Insurance and Mountcastle Insurance. Mike Kimbrell and Jim Everhart. Glad to have y'all with us tonight.
Just kind of open it up for them. So during our budget planning, we did discuss the fact that Amgard, who was our current liability carrier, was dropping our coverage, but it was not just ours, it was a lot of municipalities that they carried. They were not going to continue that line of insurance coverage. So we started working with Olson, who we've been with for over 20 years. Mike put out the fillers to see what was available, who could provide the best coverage for us at a good cost. Also, just boots on the ground, being at each location, doing inventory of items that were covered, that needed to be covered, and did we have the right coverage. And they did a really great job of covering all of our assets into this one policy. It will also be a policy that carries our cyber, also our auto coverage will all be one, whereas before we've had 3 separate companies who handled all of that. A little bit simpler to file if we need to. But I'm going to let Mike and Jim come up and just tell you a little bit about themselves and the company, and if you've got any questions, they'll be glad to answer that for you.
Thank you guys for having us, first of all. So why do you have to deal with 2 crazy insurance guys instead of just one? That would be my first question if I were you guys. That really doesn't seem fair, does it? So Mike is with Olson, I'm with Mountcastle Insurance. His agency is Thomasville, and we're in Lexington. So kind of what happened was your carrier, Guard, as Angel said, decided they no longer wanted to be in the business of writing municipalities. And very late in the game, they let everybody know that, which, to me was not a very good position for them to take, the fact they waited so long. So Mike's agency didn't have another option to present, and a mutual friend who's in the health insurance put the 2 of us together, and so that's kind of why we're tag teaming on this. Mountcastle also writes the insurance for Davidson County and also the town of Aberdeen, so we do have some experience working with municipalities. And in our business, we're not able to quote directly with insurance companies that work with municipalities. We have to go through a broker. So we used a broker, same broker that we use for Davidson County and for the town of Aberdeen. They're located in Georgia, and their name is Seville Public Entity. So you guys are their business. They work primarily with municipalities. They've quoted like 10,000 different public entities since they've been in business. So they know your industry very well. They have about 400 cities, towns, and counties that they currently write insurance for. So we are very comfortable working with them. They have access to a number of different companies. Some were not good fits, however. For example, most of you probably will recognize the name of Travelers Insurance. Well, Travelers has a minimum premium, and Fortunately for your budget, you're below that. So they are really looking for some pretty high premium accounts. Another company, they had already reached their capacity for new business, so they weren't interested in quoting. Incidentally, we found out that another company that they represent got out of the public entity business. So it wasn't just Guard, it was at least one other company we know of. So they have other companies they represent, but again, going back to the fact we were very late in the game, these other companies all have about a 30-page application that you have to complete, and each one has their own application. So we spared you guys having to go through all of that. And the fact is, by the time you guys could have gotten all that information compiled, it would have been too late to have gotten a quote from them. But not to despair, the company that we have quoted, which is called Tokyo Marine / Houston Casualty, this agency has written this year about 60 different municipalities that were formerly with the same company you guys were with. And they have done a really good job on the pricing. Of the 400 accounts that this broker writes with municipalities, only 3 or 4 had a decrease in premium. And we presented a decrease in premium for the town of Denton. At the same time, the broker and the carrier did replacement cost estimators on all of your buildings, and we've actually increased the property values by like $950,000 and still brought the premium down. So, we think they did a really good job. The broker told me that most of their renewals saw about a 25% increase in premium. So you can getting canceled by Guard is really a blessing because, it's saving you guys some money. They are AM Best, A++ rated carrier, so you don't have to worry about any financial problems. They actually have a risk manager who used to work with a couple of different municipalities, and she will be available to help, work on safety, risk management. She's sat on your side of the aisle, so she will be a great asset to you guys. So that's just kind of some background on how we got to this point, who we're presenting, and any questions, we're happy to answer those.
Yeah, I want to say too, we can't stress enough. We actually pulled, like Angel was saying, there were 3-4 different carriers we had throughout the past 10, 15 years. We were able to pull everybody together now, even the property, which the property renewed, but we were able to get this new carrier to quote the property as well, as Jim alluded to. But by being able to pull all these carriers together and bring all this premium together, it gives us a little more negotiating power at the renewals, when the renewals come in. Because if you've suffered a few claims in the auto, or on the auto side or on the liability side, you can still pull together some of that premium coming from the property to do a little bit, have a little bit more negotiating ability from a premium standpoint. Whereas before, if ABC Company had the property and you've got $10,000 in premium there, and then you come and you've got XYZ carrier that's got the auto, and yet they've had and there's $10,000 in premium there, and you've got $40,000 in claims. It's just very difficult when that one carrier is taking on that one risk. So it gives us a little bit more negotiating power. So that can't understate or overstate, I should say, the benefit of bringing all of them into one carrier there.
Have any questions for?
I do. Can you explain the cyber liability?
Go ahead. So cyber is the fastest growing coverage that in insurance that we sell. Previously, the town had a $250,000 policy. So if in the event there's several scenarios here, but if someone hacked into the computer systems of the town, stole individual citizens' information, private information, or sends out a phishing email and convinces the town to send out a wire transfer for $50,000. The town had up to $250,000 in coverage to cover these types of things, to make the citizens right the liability that you would incur that the town would incur for having this happen. This goes back to something Jim was saying there. We had $250,000. The rate was going up this year at renewal by about $2,000 more, and we were able to supply or provide, I think it was $2 million at about $500 more than what the town was paying now, but about I think it was about $500,000 less than what the renewal was going to be at the $250,000 limit, and that was all with the same carrier as well. Did that answer your question on coverages?
Yes.
Well, and ransomware is a really big thing. Most of you guys probably know that a few years ago, Davidson County had that very issue of being.
I got hacked into that. I was part of that.
Oh,
Yep.
you can probably tell the story better than me then.
It's not good.
Yeah, not good. So, these companies, if that were to happen, they have people, attorneys and people on staff that will advise you and guide you through, what you need to do, and they'll make the recommendations on you pay it or ransomware, or do you not pay it. They just have the experience to guide you through that, and they, the $2 million pays the cost of the attorneys, all of the advice they give you, and things of that nature.
And they also come in and find where you're vulnerable. So if you do have that type of breach, they will come in and let you know where you're vulnerable at and then help you rectify that situation.
How is that different from the computer fraud that's on page 11?
Yeah, so there's some computer fraud coverage built in. I think we were talking about this a little bit too. Computer fraud is there is a distinction between employees using the computers to commit fraud
Okay.
versus cyber liability, which comes really as a third party coverage there.
And some of that ties into if someone were to somehow access your banking information and transfer hundreds of thousands of dollars out, that plays into the computer fraud as well.
On the scheduled equipment, I noticed a lot of the things are shown as actual cash value, and then there's a few that are replacement value. Is that typical for this type of policy? I run a business, and so that's the reason I key in on stuff like that.
It is, yeah. Most items, everything we could cover by replacement cost, we did.
Okay.
Anything that was not covered by replacement cost had to be covered by actual cash value, and all carriers follow suit with that.
Typically, anything over 5 years of age is actual cash value.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. This company that we're quoting, they write insurance for 10 other municipalities in North Carolina. And the broker, I don't think I mentioned this earlier, they actually moved like 60 accounts that were with your former carrier to this same company.
Anybody else have any questions for Mike or Jim?
So we do have some property flood and earthquake coverage? No?
It was on the table. That is on the table. I don't know if the numbers are in there. I'm not looking at that, but
It's got a quote
The
premium.
quote was the-
Okay,
It can be added.
Angel
Gotcha.
and Paula asked for the quote and it can be added.
okay.
That's in addition to.
In
That's not
addition
part of
to, yeah.
Okay.
that, and it's limited to town-owned property. It's- If we had,
Okay. Have we had much problem with town-owned property getting flooded? Okay. Because $50,000 is kind of steep.
we, as far as our locations, I mean, police and fire department, probably be our main area. The town hall, future town hall building could possibly be, but, it doesn't usually back up that far. But their employees would create being behind police and fire, that would be in one area that I would think would have concern of possibility.
But as far as
And flood is considered rising water and staying water, not
Not
rising
flash
and falling, like
like
what we
my,
have.
like my store.
Like what we have, yeah.
And just for clarification, that 50,000 deductible is for all, it is for one event. It's a 50,000.
Okay, one
So,
event.
so if you've got a rising waters and we're flooding all the 20 properties that the town owns, that 50,000 deductible is not gonna be that much in the scheme of things.
Okay, so the 50,000 could be spread across, it's not 50,000 this property,
Right,
50
per
that property.
event.
But your limit is 2 million. The
Right.
deductible is 50,000.
50,000.
Yeah.
So you're basically on the hook for the first 50,000, and
Okay.
they'll pay you up to 2 million after that.
The most vulnerable, I think, the police and fire department, because I've seen it at their door,
That low line, yeah.
that little door to free flood. But I'd say that would be the worst, to make this one.
But those are the things, we kind of briefly talked about this, but flood and earthquake are really the two events that, I mean, I guess you could have a tornado that come through and knock down or do damage to a few buildings, but typically, they're not going to damage every building, but a flood or an earthquake would do that. 9 times out of 10, unless they're not in a low-lying area.
When it floods downtown and does flood into the park, someday when the town hall ever goes into that area, is that a vulnerable area?
Not in that particular area. Now, Harrison Park itself, we've, seen water across there, but as far as the building itself, not that I'm aware of.
And the Denton Police Department think it's okay with it being so close?
So,
Denton Police Department and Fire Department.
well, I mean, we've had rising waters, but it's not been a flood issue. 100-year
As long as it
flood,
don't
we
go
don't know
in.
what to expect.
Right.
That's like you said,
Flash
flood
floods,
is go in and stay,
Yeah.
not go in,
rising
receive,
water.
and then receive back out.
Okay.
I don't have any questions.
If there's not any more questions, we will need a motion from the board to go with this policy for the next fiscal year.
I do have one more question, I'm sorry. You did say that this quote came in under what we were paying or what our renewal was gonna be, had they renewed?
It's a good question, actually. There was no renewal offer made.
Right, okay,
So this quote come back less than what you were paying for this year.
okay,
And that does say a lot right now, with the way property and commercial auto and auto in general is rising, last year and this year. So we were able to come in lower than the 2023 last fiscal year.
About $4,000, but coverage is much more
Yeah.
to what our needs are.
Right.
okay.
Correct.
I thought that's what I heard you say when you're first presenting, but I just wanted to clarify and make sure I understood. I make a motion that we accept the insurance as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion needed on this item? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. We
Thank
look forward to working with you folks.
Appreciate you coming.
Review master task order agreement with the Wooten Company for on-call engineering services. Mr. Grady, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. Thank y'all for having me here tonight. My name is John Gray, and I work for the Wooten Company. I've been with Wooten for over 27 years now, and I was with Black & Veatch for 11 years before that, so I've been in the business for a while. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, I was born and raised in Asheboro, and still live in Asheboro, raised my family there, and worked in Asheboro until 2016 when Wooten decided for various reasons to relocate our office up to Winston-Salem. So my office is now in Winston-Salem, but the Wooten Company's been in business since the 1930s, and so we've been around serving municipalities all across North Carolina. We've now ventured into South Carolina a bit and a little bit into Virginia, but North Carolina has been our main focus. We have worked with small towns. We do work with larger towns, but small towns has been a lot of what we have done. We work with counties as well. So obviously working with Randolph County, Asheboro, we work with small towns like Ramseur, Robbins. So definitely towns that are very similar to your situation. And we appreciate being selected for the on-call work, and what we've done, or I guess let me back up and say a little bit of what Wooten does is we can provide services for water, wastewater, stormwater. We can also provide building services such as police station, fire station, public works facilities. We work on treatment plants and things like that as well. So sort of a full service firm. I like to say we were built around what small towns need from an engineer to help them function on the civil and infrastructure kind of services. So that is the type of work that Wooten does. So we can provide any of those services. And so through this on-call agreement, this task order process, we can be authorized to perform any of those services that the town would like. And just basically, if a need arises, then the town can call and say, hey, we need help evaluating, we've got a pressure problem in this part of town, help us look at it and see what's going on. And then we would say, okay, we'll look at it, and then we'll say, okay, well, we think it will take us $10,000 to figure out what needs to be done or whatever. And we would present that, and then that would become a task order that the board would approve at that time for the specific work. So what this agreement is this puts into place the ability for you to approve future projects. This is not saying we're giving you any money this time. I'm not getting paid to be here tonight. So I'm just here to introduce us. So that's sort of how the task order process works. And so Angel would give me a call and say, Jason at the water treatment plant is having a problem with some pumps, and we think we need to add a chemical process or something, then we can get involved. And Jason, excuse me, is one of the people that we worked with previously, and he suggested we could help out here. So we appreciate that opportunity. When we first got introduced, there were other things in place, and so we really haven't been able to work with the town. But through this on-call process, you've now selected us, so we are available to work for the town for any kind of projects you may have. One of the things we do also is we help with funding applications, and so we have a group that does various funding applications, and we actually help the town submit a funding application for what's called an asset inventory and assessment grant. And what that type of grant does is it will look at what your assets are for your water system. Let's just say water system. So you got valves, you got fire hydrants, you got a treatment plant, you got lines, you may have a booster pump station. So those items would be located and listed, and then they're assessed as to what kind of condition they're in. This has got 5 more years. And from that assessment, we develop what's called a capital improvements plan. And that lays out over the next 10 years what you could be spending on your system for properly maintaining and and making the needed improvements. So the asset inventory does all those parts. For a water treatment plant, we would go through, evaluate what's there, what processes could be improved, and things like that. So, we would also could create a hydraulic model of the water system that would evaluate where you have low pressure problems for fire flow or things like that. If you have an industry coming and you want to extend it out, that hydraulic model could say, okay, well, you should be able to get 60 pounds of pressure and 500 gallons a minute to that industry, which is what they want to know when they're giving you a call. So a hydraulic model is a really good tool to have. I'm not sure that the town has one, but what we like to do on the asset inventory is to map out the system and then develop that model so you have that tool to use. Another thing you can do with that type of grant is you can purchase or subscribe to an asset inventory management system. And what that does is it gives access to, like, your water system. You've got it mapped, but then you have a nice pretty map on the wall, but the guys are out in the field when they're working. So what it does is it gives you to have the ability to cloud-based access to your information. So your guys in the field can have an iPad and they're looking at their system. This says it's a 6-inch line and it's about here, and they can go dig it up. And it's also a working document that they can say, well, actually it's an 8-inch line, we need to update that, and that map gets updated automatically. And so things like, it's a really good system. So the asset inventory grant can be used to help pay for that, at least 1 year subscription, and the town can decide if you want to move forward with something like that. So those are some of the things that you can do for an AIA. That's the water side. The sewer side, you can do a smoke test, you can do flow test analysis, you can do TV and cleaning work, but it's all study based. It's try to figure out what the problems are, how much it's going to take to fix them, create that capital improvements plan. So it helps the town sort of plan what you need to do over time. It gives the guys at the plant a tool to use to, hey, we need to replace this system, and you can put that in the capital improvements plan. And then the other thing it does is it gives you a way to go after more funding in the future, because it's in a capital improvements plan, it's in an asset management plan. The state will give you more points on your funding application for the next time you submit. So it's really a good tool. And so when we first were contacted by the town, we said, probably be good to do that to help get a good handle on what things are needed. And we helped the town put together an application for an AIA, asset inventory assessment. And the state, SWIA is the State Water Infrastructure Authority, and they're the ones that review and approve the funding. It's administered through Division of Water Infrastructure. Today, the agenda was put out for the next SWIA meeting, which is August 16th, where they will approve the awards, but when they put it online, they'll list the agenda and what's proposed. And in the proposed agenda, you're getting $200,000 for evaluating your water system and $200,000 for your sewer system. So that'll be something that the town can figure out how you want to use, and that can be a task order through this process because you did solicit it with that as one of the possible projects. So I think that's great news. Now, it's not official until SWIA approves it on the 16th, but that's in the agenda as it is now. So glad that I could share that good news to you. But that's really who we are, what we do. As I said, I've been in the business a long time. I've worked with a lot of small towns and mid-sized towns across the state, from Wingate down to Lumberton up to Winston. So I've covered all that area for a long time, and look forward to working with y'all in the future. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Do you actually write the grant?
Yes, we submitted the grant for the town. Yes, sir. Of course, a lot of the information is provided by your staff. I mean,
right.
We don't get. I say, we don't get the grant. Y'all get the grant.
Right.
We help sort of put this papers together. Right. And I should give credit to Miles Galloway. He's a project manager for us And he deals more with the process side, so he would work with the plant guys. And what we've done in the past is he comes out and he'll evaluate the plants and provide information. But he put together those funding applications with Angel's help and Paula, so we were able to get that put together and submitted, so we were glad to get that done.
Good benefit.
Yeah.
When you, I think I know the answer to the question, but I'm gonna ask anyway. When it's talking about the basis of payment and number 3 is kind of worded oddly, but I assume because it talked about on page 2, number 2.02A3, and it says not to exceed a ceiling of, and then it says each task will be associated with the fee is provided in the task order agreement.
Right.
You didn't put a ceiling because it depends on who's going to be coming in to do that. Am I understanding that
Yeah,
correctly?
we have no, I mean, there's no project that's been, this approves. This is just setting a framework for the town to say, hey, we want to do this.
Gotcha.
And then we would come and provide a fee estimate, and then she would come. And we can do an hourly rate, which is the way this, I think it's set up. It's really basically hourly rate. But we can do lump sum if it's a preference. You know, we can say this is what our fee would be. But the hourly rate works really well in your favor. It's just, it's whatever our cost is.
Okay.
It's what you pay.
That's what I thought I understood that to say, but it's like.
Yeah, so that wouldn't be assigned until the scope is set in the task
Gotcha.
order.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any further questions?
Yeah, I guess I didn't really go through how this is put together, but the first part is the general agreement, legal ease, and there are people that understand that a lot better than I do. There is an hourly rate structure, schedule of fees, that is what our hourly rates are as of July 1st. And then the task order is attached after that, and that is just a typical task order. It would, when a project is requested, we would go through and edit that document, and that's all that would be submitted for approval in the future. It's just that task order. And then these legal terms apply to the rest of it.
So is this one of those things that well, just like the grant that we've already applied for, do you all kind of like counsel us and say, hey, this would be a good thing for you to all to have, or do you just sit back and wait for us to come up with something?
What I like to do is, you know, the asset inventory assessment process will really expose some things that need to be done. And at that point, once you have the capital improvements plan or as an asset management plan, if we develop that far, then we would say, well, the first project in the next 5 years that you really need to tackle, let's just grab a sewer system. Because you got some really bad I&I in this area of your sewer system that needs to be addressed. We want to do a cleaning TV project and slip line and try to seal it. And so for those services, we think you could get funding from Division Water Infrastructure through the state grant or through the SRF program, or you might qualify for a CDBG, although that's almost a bad word. There's so much paperwork with those. But I mean, it's $2 million of free money, free other than heartache and headache. But anyway, there are several. And Golden Leaf is good for stormwater issues. That, you know, we're talking about flooding. There was no funding. The next round of funding that's coming out is September 30th. Probably won't know enough about the system. There may be some things at the plant. I mean, Jason and Miles talked already about some things that are going on. So you could apply for funding. They're really good about funding projects that don't increase capacity. So if you're just doing things to like slip line and sewer to remove I&I, or replacing old water lines that are breaking all the time, or pumps that are gone out at the plant that need to be replaced and things like that, that tends to be more funded right now than we're gonna extend out 5 miles and people hook onto a water line. They don't like to fund those. But we do have a good group of, and I've got a lot of experience with that myself, so we would take those projects and say, let's go after this one. We think
So you all would also help us prioritize?
Yes.
Okay, good. Sounds like what we need.
One thing to note, because I know that time has been a ongoing concern, there's an ability in here for the engineering firm to cancel with 7 days written notice if the services are delayed for more than 90 days because there's things at the site that make it where they can't do their job, like presence of asbestos and things like that. In the second part, which is project specific, it talks about times for rendering services, and it has a phase and a completion date, but time is not of the essence. So if they did not complete within those dates, that does not give you grounds to cancel. But you do have the right to cancel with 30 days written notice, either party does. So just keep that in mind.
I would make a motion that we approve the master task order agreement with the Wooten company for on-call engineering services.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you. We look forward to working with you.
Sure. Approved fiscal year 24-25 fire department board members. And Brandon's not here.
Yeah, I don't see Brandon, so I'll just review those real quick with you. As you guys know, each year they hold their annual officer and board elections at their last meeting in June. This year, the officers were the 24-25 year. Fire chief is Brandon Dorsett, deputy fire chief Travis Morris, assistant fire chief Scott Morris, captains Larry Scott and Dustin Covington, lieutenants Dan Sexton, Matt Howard. Okay. Training officer Phil Floyd and safety officer Rayford Dorsett. And it is by your approval that we accept their officers and for their next year.
I make a motion to approve the 24-25 fire department board officers.
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Resolution 2023-2024-16, recognizing Captain Ryan Shear for his service with the town of Denton. And we held a reception for him on June the 28th, and that night he was honored for his service, his entire service in law enforcement. That night we gave him his badge and his firearm. And we, as mayor, I read this resolution. I can certainly read it tonight if the board desires. Or it's not totally necessary that we do that. Has everyone looked at it, or? Okay. Shall we move on? Okay.
Mayor, if you will though, part of the resolution does state that we have to approve the resolution for allowing his service weapon and badge to be given to him with his retirement. The cost for the service weapon has been paid, but it does need a board approval.
I would make that motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Resolution R 2024-25-01 to approve surplus property for Denton Police Department. Andrew Jenkins.
Copies that you guys have is a picture of a van that has either been the A-team or who's the boss, I'm not sure, but it ended up in Denton. under our care and has been there for quite a while. We are asking that you surplus this in order for us to place it on Gov Deals. Chief James and Paula have worked hard to get this information through DOT so we can get a title registration for it and be able to list it out through Gov Deals. We have had this for 15 years, at least 15 years, and we've not used it in the last 8 that I've been here. So it is for your consideration tonight to surplus this vehicle. From what I understand, there's a high demand for this type of van, and so we are going to list it out on Gov Deals and see what we can get for that.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve surplus property for the police department.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Town Department Head reports, and we'll start with Paul.
Mayor Ward, number 12. We do need to
12.
do an update on
Okay, excuse me. Approve updates to the police department surplus equipment.
Did we give them a copy of that? I'm not sure.
I included it, but I do not see it. My apologies.
I've got it.
So at our couple meetings back, we approved the surplus for some firearms to be surplus through Craig's Firearms. And when they did come to collect those items, there were 2 serial numbers that were presented incorrectly to you guys for approval. I'm sorry, I stated that wrong. So 1 serial number was stated incorrectly. It has been filed with the clerk so that it is correct in our system, but we need to let you guys know. And Chief, do you want an approval of the board on that?
I think that would be good. I still have that one in my possession. You took 4, that would be the 5th one. That allows us to get credit for purchasing the rifle that we intend to get. So.
And I will send out, I apologize that we didn't have that corrected number to you guys, but we will send that out to you tomorrow just so you know. But it was part of that original, it was just a transpose of numbers.
So there was 4 altogether? 4?
I think there's a
Five
total of
altogether.
5, and we've already turned 4 over.
And that
We
made
need to
5.
get them. Comparing the paperwork, I realized one of the serial numbers didn't match up, so that's the reason for the change.
I make a motion to approve the update to the police department surplus equipment.
Second. That being said, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Town Department Head reports, administration, Paul Header.
So I did place the order with the design firm for the new town sign. The order was placed on June 5th. She gave a quote of 4 to 6 weeks, and I did speak with her the end of last week, and it should be about 2 more weeks. So we are right in line with what she quoted, and we're not seeing any issues with that. I wanted to share with the board that we do have a local resident that lives in the Springs that has come forth. She's not wanting to get her name in the headlights or anything, but she is wanting to do some community service around town just to make things look better. So she started her project with the kiosk and has really done a really good job. She's cleaned, she's painted the ceiling. Once we get a new stand in there for some of our literature, she's going to be redoing the floors to clean those really well, clean the glasses and so forth. She's also helping with the side project for a local business in town. So she's very eager to work and just make the community look good. So I'm very impressed with her. She has lots of energy and very excited about doing this. Also, an update on the website. Elizabeth has been working very much with SlamDot to try to get our website as, where we're able to show it with you guys. So once she feels comfortable with doing that, there are a few more areas that they are fine tuning. She will bring that to the floor for viewing.
you think that will be back by the end of July?
I'm not gonna put a date on it. We hope to have, but we will certainly keep working at it as much as we can. I know it has drawn out much longer than we anticipated it to, but there is a lot of detail on our website, a lot of detail that needed to be updated. So she has worked very diligently with them, providing updates and making sure that our forms are compatible with the software for customers to access and so forth. So it is a time-consuming project, but I do believe that investing this time in it will result in a very good, I think everyone will be very pleased with it.
What did she charge us for that?
I don't recall the initial
It's been
amount.
so long ago.
I know it has been a while. I do apologize for not having that figure readily
It's okay.
available for to answer that. But much less than a lot of firms would charge for designing the website. So they're not billing us any additional for this long period of time. We are paying our $50 monthly fee, as scheduled, and that was originally voted on to do that. So, but no additional cost for it lingering out as long as it has. And that's all I have at this time.
Any questions for Paul? No, Police Department, Chief Jennings.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, good evening. Glad to report that Officer Gamal is now out of training. And I think I shared with you that we had hired Matthew Clodfelter. Currently he holds the rank of sergeant, and he's taken over field training. So he's now training Officer Ward. We anticipate that by June 28th, the good Lord willing, we will be back to where we should have been, and we'll have coverage as well as on occasion have two officers working together. Glad to commend Officer Ward, who was recently sworn in for obtaining the highest score in his VLET class. So we're very pleased that he is here working with us. I currently have 5 resumes that people have submitted for the captain or sergeant position, depending on how that works out. Today I actually finished the role play scenarios and the rating sheets and the interview questions. So very soon I hope to conduct those assessment centers. We're going to have to find some people to play various roles, one being the mayor, one being the media, and other folks that will be involved in the role play scenarios. So soon we hope to have that finished and have those promotions done. If it works out like we hope, we will have 7 officers in place, which will be a great thing for our town. You probably have seen in the social media the larcenies that happened at OPE with 3 chainsaws. Somebody brazenly walks in, runs out the door with 3 chainsaws, 2 people do. Both of those have been arrested, and I want to thank my guys as well as Sheriff Simmons' folks. The trace team was a big help to us, and we were able to get those chainsaws back. And in my interviews that took place at the jail, one of the guys admitted to me that he had also gone into Tractor Supply and committed a crime there of about $800 worth of merchandise that he just rolled out in a buggy and failed to pay for. So glad we were able to arrest those people. The last I checked, they were still in the Davidson County Jail where they belong. Car number 3 is finally upfitted and on the road and assigned to Officer Gamal. Some time ago I talked to you about the floor. We had hoped to get that floor repaired in the last fiscal year. Mr. Hardister had some health problems. He never came back. At the recommendation of Mr. Morris, I contacted Donnie Dietz. Mr. Dietz came by and looked at it. He recommended a retired High Point officer, Jim Perryman, come look at it. He's been and looked at it, and I'm awaiting that estimate to see what he thinks it will take to repair the structural damage. Once that's done, then Mr. Dietz will give us a price on actually replacing the tile floor. Be glad to answer any questions you may have about police operations.
Thanks for helping during the antique festival.
Very, very welcome. We had a lot of folks here, and I've talked to some business owners who I think had some higher than normal sales, so we're glad to see that.
Very glad we're about to achieve the goal of 7 officers. Been a long time coming.
And I hope we can keep them all.
Since we started this before the year end, if, on the floor, if we get the estimates, can it be taken from last year, or do we have to move it for new year?
Well, we would have to move to the new year
Okay.
because we don't even have a price estimate. If it had been quoted and potentially just waiting on them to start, it could have been outstanding payable.
Gotcha.
But we, it's been a couple weeks, Chief, is that right, for the quote to come in?
Yes.
So we're still,
Just
I
thought.
know, well, we might could look at it, but, because we've not physically started on anything,
Okay.
I think we would have to push it out for this year.
Okay.
So,
Thank
good question, though.
And I did forget to tell you, and it may be back here now, but Sergeant Clodfelter and Officer Ward traveled to Tennessee today and brought back the 2023 Dodge Charger, which saved the taxpayers about $10,000. So we were fortunate to find that vehicle. I think it'll serve us well. They only had 2 white ones in stock and about 16 silvers. And I think he told Sergeant Clodfelter today that almost all those vehicles, maybe 2 silvers were left. But being the good bargain they were, they're not lasting long at all. So I'm glad we could do that and save taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, any questions from Monica? Thank you.
Thank you.
Fire department, chief,
He's not here.
not here. You want to do that one?
I can, how do you have a copy? I'll get a copy of the reports. So, Chief Dorsett attended the Davidson County Public Safety Committee meeting that was hosted by Lexington Fire Department on June 25th, and they worked on revising the county Mayday protocols and their procedures. They held the annual fire department officer board elections, as we have already approved this evening for their next coming year. They had 29 total incidents, 6 fires, 1 being a mobile home, 12 fire alarms, 2 traffic accidents with 1 impediment, EMS 3 calls, and others 6. And then they did assist on a large call Friday. I think you guys probably saw it on the news where it was a house fire that was fully engulfed, so they did assist with that as well.
Thank you. Public Works, Michael Hyde.
I don't really have anything besides our general work we do every day. But I do want to say when the woodman was up here talking, I think he said silver 15 times, and every time I could see the little glow.
That's what he's saying, Grant.
But, I mean, we just got ready for the festival and what we usually do.
Thank you, Mike. Water treatment plant. Jason's not, no, Jason's here. Great.
Good evening. So we're still chugging along with the water department. I didn't bring my notes, I had to read off the phone, sorry about that. Here, get to work. Well, I'll just say. So we got the new pump installed for the carbon feed system, one of 3 that we were working on getting. So we've got that fixed. The carbon's feed now. That's helping the organics coming in. The color of the water's been really dark, darker than I've ever seen it. So the carbon's going to help with that, along with the permanganate. So that'll help take down some of the turbidity and improve the quality. Sometimes if the color can go through to the distribution system, to my knowledge, that hasn't happened yet, thankfully. So we adjusted all the feed rates to make sure that doesn't happen. We had our state inspection on June 7th. It went fairly well, thankfully. The one thing we did find out was the EPA is going to be coming soon, and they're a whole different beast. There's a lot that has to get prepared for that. So I'm working on updating SOPs and routine maintenance schedules, which is a beast in itself, but we'll get there little by little. The things we're going to start working on, we're going to probably in this next month, is we're going to hopefully get the turbidimeter fixed for filter 2. We just got the 2 new pumps that we needed for the permanganate and the fluoride in, I believe, Friday. So we're going to hopefully get those pumps installed this week. That'll help the feed rates on those. We're going to look into getting new vent screens for the clear well, put in vent caps on the clear wells. The state inspector did note that the screens in there were deteriorated and need to be replaced, so we're going to look into getting that done hopefully soon. As far as the filters go, we're going to still try and get the valves unclogged for filter 1 and 2 for backwashing, and then hopefully start on the next phase of the SCADA build. And for longer term stuff, we're going to, once again, still looking to get the 4th filter and the plate settlers on the basin are the biggest things that we're looking to get done. We got 1 quote so far for the plate settlers. We're going to work on getting the people questions.
Did we not have a visit from the state?
Yeah, June 7th they came.
How'd that come out?
It went good.
Good.
Yeah, he was the one that noted the clear well vents.
Yeah, okay.
They got to be replaced.
The water, right now it's about as clear as I've ever seen it down there. How fast? What's the difference between 2 months ago and this month processing water?
Right now,
I'd just like to know.
Our raw flow right now is pretty. It's this past week we've been bringing almost max of about just shy. We're running about 2,000 gallons a minute, which equates to 3 million gallons a day. Last month at this time, we might have been around 2.4, which has been higher than last year, which was around 2.2. So it's steadily going up, and we're pretty much maxed out right now. This past week, it's 2,000 gallons per minute, and that's running 20 hours. Turbidity is looking great. That's where the carbon and the permanganate. We've got the lake water has so many organics in it lately, and algae. It's burning up the chlorine, so we're trying to mitigate that some with permanganate and carbon. It kind of helps bind to it and settle it out in filters before it gets to filters. So that's really helped with the turbidity. So
is that because the water's warm?
I think so. I've seen warm water before, but this is the darkest I've seen. It's like brackish water coming in.
Really?
And I've always heard in other plants that it's harder to treat low turbidity and color at the same time, and that's what we're dealing with now. So thankfully, we've got the permanganate pumps and the carbon online and doing what they should, because if they didn't, I think we'd have more issues with turbidity, because it's just more color, which would show turbidity and be more of a problem than it is now. But right now, they're pretty clear. Try to keep it that way. And to my knowledge, there hasn't been any calls from darker water again. Because like I said, sometimes it can get through the system. It's not that it's dangerous or unsafe to drink. It could be like a tan color that gets through the system at times.
Most calls that we get are usually in the winter. It's cloudy, but that's still it dissipates.
It's doing good now.
Any questions for Jason? Thank you.
Thank you.
Wastewater treatment plant, Troy Branch.
We will be conducting our annual EPA pollutant study on the 18th. It's an annual test. We have completed and certified our 2023 annual water quality report. We did that on June 4th. Everybody that lives in town should have received their annual water quality report in the mail. I attended the Yadkin Petey River Basin Association quarterly meeting on June 7th, and one of the things they did touch on was there are algae blooms popping up in the Yadkin river. That could be where your brackish looking water is coming from, and it's why it's eating up its chlorine so bad. I also attended the second quarterly meeting of the Pretreatment Consortium on June 27th. Handy installed a new meter at the Burlington site on June 24th, and we have began reading that last week. We received our chlorine, sulfur dioxide, and caustic last week, and our regular maintenance and routine work. That's about it. Any questions?
Seeing dramatically different reads on the new handy pump.
I don't figure them, I just read them, so I'm not sure what they're reading.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Troy. Town attorney update.
Good evening. The one thing that I did want to let you know is that on the Farmbrook property, I got an update from the foreclosing group that's working on that. The demand letter was sent. They've had no response from the owner. They are completing their title work and should be filing the complaint very quickly. So I will keep you apprised of the progress as we go through there. That's all I have.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you. Town manager's report.
Last meeting, we approved the lighting for 109 coming in from north of town. They're around the complex where the plastic and Lowe's foods are. And there has been some changes. I spoke with the representative last week, and he said that they have been clearing off the lot that's there beside the plastic. I know you guys have probably seen that. But there was a pole that they were feeding these lines off of, and because they cleared that lot, they wanted the poles removed from the middle of the lot. So they've had to go back to the drawing board to see where they're going to pull the connecting power to those lights. He said as soon as it is coming through, and as I quoted on your memo there, that they will get that to us as soon as possible. Spring Street should be installed in the next few weeks, and they are working on the build out for Fletcher Lane, just off of 47. The next one would be Kenny Avenue, which is 3 houses in and 3 more to go. So that should be coming up soon. Max Summey and Donnie Kivett continue to work on our hydraulic study. Mr. Kivett's scheduling with Handy Sanitary District to read their master meters. I saw I have a spelling error there. Sometime between the 8th and the 19th, but Michael High mentioned that Justin is actually on vacation this week, and so it will probably be the next week before they're able to do that, because he's the one that'll be working with them to test that master meter out on Highway 47 there at Thermo. And looking at the Mount Vista property, this was engineered by Summey Engineering for Mount Vista, and they did it as an extension of our water lines. And looking at this with Mr. Summey, he stated that they will run an extension line off of the current fire line that goes through there. It'll become our water line, and once they have laid those, they'll do an easement so that we have rights to go and work on that particular line when necessary. Each location will be metered. I did reach out to Mount Vista representatives just to verify that that was their intent, not to have one master meter and service all, but have each individual apartment metered, and that was their goal, was to have each one metered. They're not sure how that'll work out, if they'll still pay the bill or have them put up a deposit and establish service with the town going forward. That will be something for them to determine. There is an update from Liability Engineering that I provided to you. Still kind of in that waiting pattern on several of the items. Let's see, and zoning, we do have a zoning request that's going to come before the Planning and Zoning Board at the next Monday night's meeting, the 15th. And it is going to be for the property from Todd Yates that is located at the end of North Main Street and Garner Road. 14 acres that they're wanting to rezone from light industrial to R8. And so that'll be heard by them on the 15th and you on August the 5th at our next board meeting. The Antiques Festival this week was really good. We had 44 vendors registered. I think there were maybe 2 or 3 that didn't show, but several of them had multiple spaces, 2 and 3. And depending on who you talk to, depends on what type of week it was. I guess those that are used to our flow of traffic, it was a great week for them. It was hot, it was very dry. So by Friday evening, a lot of them were packing up and leaving. They didn't stay for the entire Saturday event as well. But the businesses, I did come downtown on the 4th and went around to several businesses as well. And they were appreciative and really do want to see something that can bring more people into town on a more regular basis. So I let them know that we're working on that it is something that is our goal. This month, our July water bills that were sent out, we billed 1,019 customers. That was 4.6 million gallons, and Handy Districts was 29.3. If you guys have any questions, I can answer.
This little bill of updates. So they're still waiting for the approval of Bar Street?
Right, so they got the redesign work from the engineering firm, well, from the group that was building it out. Remember, they didn't do the bar screen and the conveyor, they did 2 bar screens. So they finally got that, sent it to DEQ, and that's what we're waiting on, is that approval through DEQ to move forward with that. You know, at the meeting that Heather was here last, her goal was to have this bid out in the summer. So, you know, we're still summer, but I'm hopeful that it's gonna be in August. But we've just gotta wait for that approval through DEQ.
Do you know anybody in DEQ that was firing?
Well, she actually said that she does have a contact now that she seems to be getting some good rapport from. So she's reaching out to them on all of the projects that they have across the board, but especially ours, since they are taking so long to get approval on that. Any other questions?
Okay. Are there any commissioner comments or concerns at this time?
I wanted to tell you about the fundraiser the Denton Museum did on Denton High School brick. I didn't know if we'd sell one, but we sold $265 worth of Denton High School bricks as a fundraiser for the museum. So that was nice.
Very good, Barbara.
Did we end up paying off the general fund portion that we were supposed to for, that would leave about 25,000?
Do you mean from the enterprise fund
Yes.
to the general fund? So with this, in looking at that budget year, and I apologize, I don't have those figures in front of me, but I'm pretty sure that with this past budget year, that it almost paid it off. So the funding that was designated for that for this year, will definitely capture that for something else. But I don't remember the totals right off. Do you, Paula? I think it left us with about $500 owed, if I'm not mistaken. But.
Well, the reason I was asking, I thought it just about did, and if we can, in August, if we can look at that and just get that cleared.
Yeah, well,
and then that way.
And that's what it'll be. If this past year, because I know we looked at that with our last budget to see where we were and how much further along we needed to be. We will completely have it paid off this fiscal 24-25 budget year. So it will be paid off then. And it's a matter of moving money
right
by pencil, really.
Right.
But it will be.
That's what I thought, if we could just get it cleared out, then that way it's one less thing to have to worry about.
Anyone else? If not, this time, this board will go into closed session, discuss personnel matters.
Mayor, will you dismiss the department heads?
Yes, absolutely.
You guys are ready to go.
You get it.
But it was turned to.
Well,
It falls into July.
okay, well, I just thought.
It'll fall
Okay.
into because I have turned it
Well, King's Mountain PID.
Yes, I know.
Because we're both, because I'm pretty sure we're That's it.
I'll have to go back and pull that.
We painted it, nice pretty letters in black and white, today, 1929 to 1989.
So we are filing liens against the property.
And I feel like we're getting even to now.
More than likely, that it is, that is
21.
it. But I'll double check.
Very good.
We'll make sure so we don't get held
Got
up.
thrown off the horse.
It
Second time we
is,
painted.
actually, I have sent her additional copies today for copies on that, so, because we've mowed it
Twice now.
twice.
I sold more bricks, I didn't sell that much off, I sold more bricks than I did ours. But there's not that many people.
Tree has been hauled
I mean, it was so hot.
off. Or.
There was only
They
two.
didn't do the Harrison Park they did, and they
I
thought,
would
like,
check
where
and
in the
make sure
world
I
I
wrote
wrote
about
about
it.
it?
I wish she wouldn't put in numbers, because it's hard for me to track what they are without going back in and looking at all.
Somebody
See
had
what
to-
the notes were. And it's been on.
Is it out of town?
No.
Somewhere down- I know one down Farmer Nick Road up in that.
Thank you.
Before we get started,